All right, thank you very much for staying with us. This is News Center. We continue with our coverage. We'll be continuing with our conversation. But before then, I just want us to listen to what NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga had to say yesterday in regards to how he would fight corruption if elected as president come August 8th. Let's just listen into what he had to say yesterday.
I know how NYS was being looted, and I said the suspect is so-and-so. They came out and said I should leave that lady alone, that I should face them directly, himself and his deputy. He called a press conference in State House. When later on evidence emerged linking that minister with that scandal, Deputy President went to a church in Githurai and said that that lady should stop speaking too much English. She must answer. You know, for your information, Joe, that lady is the candidate of Jubilee for gubernatorial elections in Kirinyaga.
So what would you have done, Mr. Odinga?
I would have taken action, a la Magufuli style.
All right, so Raila Odinga used the word Magufuli. I'd like to hear from my guest here in studio. His comment on how he would deal with corruption, was it really convincing? Did he really get to the bottom of why President Uhuru Kenyatta has not been able to do it and what he would do if elected President Mark?
You know, the issue of corruption in this nation, we need to understand it is not a legal matter. It is a moral matter. The Kenyan psyche, our morality is so skewed that a parent will pay a teacher to steal exams for his son. Now, who are you conning in this particular case? Are you conning yourself as a parent? Are you conning your child out of your future, or is it the parent, the teacher rather? So the reality of the matter is this, and the Magufuli dimension is an interesting dimension, because Magufuli's way of dealing with corruption is to immediately remove you the moment you're mentioned, which of course would open him up to a lot of litigation and things like that. But the reality of the matter, if you want to deal with corruption in this nation, you've got to deal with two dimensions. Number one, you've got to deal with the implementation of the law, because we have excellent laws to deal with corruption, but adding to them does not change anything. We've realized that since we had the Electoral Commission. So what we need to do is have, number one, political goodwill to deal with that. What is political goodwill? If you look at the West, when someone is mentioned at corruption, they resign themselves. It's not a matter of law, it's a matter of tradition and principle and morality. And that's where we need to go to. And as someone who actually lived in Tanzania for a year, just before Magufuli came in to become president, and as someone who lived in Tanzania, the reality of the matter is corruption in Tanzania was rife. In fact, people used to drive with money in their glove compartments so that when the cop stops them, they can bribe them. But the reality is when Magufuli came in, because of political goodwill, he's been able to cause those changes. Now, what needs to happen to deal with corruption in this nation is we need a leader who has the goodwill of the people and of his government to actually deal with corruption. Now, the question is, as leader of ODM and the various governors that ODM has had and NASA has had, as it was previously called, has he done anything by way of political goodwill to deal with it? And that's really the question that is lingering, because has he been able to deal with it when he was Prime Minister? Did he deal with it as leader of the opposition in the last 5 years? That is the question. Right. But what he said, can it work? Yes, it can.
All right, Charles, your view on this one. And one of the things that Raila Odinga said is that state officials will be barred from engaging in government business. But he really did not give the framework of the policy of how this will be implemented.
I think, Betty, first of all, we must appreciate when one has an intention that I'm ready to fight this vice. And more importantly, we've talked about the Magufulization of the corruption cartels. The Magufuli style, there was something very interesting that His Excellency John Pombe Magufuli said. There was a person that was caught with elephant tusks, the rhino, and was taken to court. Then Magufuli was asking the authorities, the DPP, this person was found with the rhino horns, which is illegal. And you are saying you are still conducting investigations. Even if he was not the person who actually killed the lion, he knows very well that handling or trading in rhino horns is an offense. Yeah. Let us charge him by being in possession of rhino horns. What is the investigation about? Back home here, Betty, the only way to deal with these corruption issues, Raila had no enough opportunity to say that this is the framework of which I would ensure that I fight corruption. We have very able institutions. And just the way Mark has said, that the person that we are lacking is that person with the goodwill. Because we claim that these institutions are very independent. By its very nature and the law, they should be independent. But what always happens is that when someone is implicated, the DPP will tell you that we are still reviewing the file. They recall back the file, they tell they are reviewing. After the revision of the file, the finding that always come out that the evidence that was tabled or presented can never sustain a conviction. Then this begs the question, the integrity of the Director of Public Prosecution's office, which is a very, very important office in the fight against corruption.
So if it's that simple, why hasn't the president really, come in to clamp down if that really is the issue in that chain?
That is the question that is in the lips of every Kenyan, because, and you know the tyranny of the numbers. The Jubilee government is enjoying overwhelming majority. In any event that they want to even make any amendment, we've seen several amendments being made into the security laws, into the election laws, very comfortable. What is difficult by President summoning his troops and telling them, look here, generals, we must deal with this enemy. We must deal with this aggressor. The aggressor is the corruption. Let us ensure that the institutions, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, is given enough resources, is given enough qualified personnel, so that we do not really second people to positions or influence their process of appointment, so that when they go there, they become a gatekeeper. I'm very impressed by what Professor Ole Kiapi said yesterday during the analysis of the debate, and another analyst was saying that the door of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission actually was Professor Wainaina. That door has been rotating and people goes in and come out and come in and come out. So actually going forward, my proposal would be for the next government, for those who would get that opportunity, be it Raila Odinga, be it Dr. Kura Okot, be it Professor Jafet Kalulu, let that person be right in his mind that Kenyans, the most important thing that Kenyans are looking about, Betty, is how we will ensure that these institutions, these laws, are actually implemented, so that we do not have an opportunity to blame the executive. We do not have to blame the Director of Public Prosecution. Let us ensure that the law is implemented, so that the process the train can start moving.
All right, very emphatic on your point there. Joseph, let's talk about Raila Odinga said that Kenya is playing in the super league of countries that have the highest rates of corruption. But at this point, isn't it just a good thing to to tell Kenyans that I will fight corruption? Is it really something that can actually happen in a country that we've seen this problem actually growing over the years?
I think, according to my perspective, fighting corruption has to start with, number one, strengthening the investigative capacity of the police, giving more powers to the Anti-Corruption Commission, and also, actually, the DBB needs to up his game, because in most instances, we have seen the police investigate something, and along the way, before the file reaches the desk of the DBB, it goes around, somebody appears in court, all along, is bailed out, and the case is thrown out. So if these institutions, the police, the DPP, the Anti-Corruption Commission, if they are given some teeth to bite more, I think it will be one of the best ways.
But okay, just to take you up on that. I mean, sometimes you're dealing with extremely powerful individuals who've been implicated in corruption. It doesn't matter how strong your investigative, agencies are. You still have these people, the cases don't really go anywhere.
Betty, if you remember 2002, we had the same laws as Moi had okay? We had an election. We elected Kibaki. The moment Kibaki got into power, citizens were arresting corrupt politicians. Citizens were holding each other to account. The reality of the matter, we've spent the last 15, 17 years of our lives adding to laws and adding to institutions and putting bishops and pastors and prophets and lawyers and all manner of professionals into the EACC, hoping that this institution will change. The reality of the corruption question, it is not a leadership question, it is a me question. The reality is every Kenyan who takes a single shilling and gives it to a policeman to avoid a traffic offense, he is as guilty as that powerful politician. What we need in this country is not more laws. We have sufficient laws. In fact, we are overloaded as far as that is concerned. The reality is this, that we as a people need to sit down and first of all and ask ourselves, am I corrupt? And if I am not corrupt, is my family corrupt? If my family is not corrupt, is my extended family not corrupt? That is what we need to begin to do, because the creation of laws does not make a way to deal with corruption.
All right. You want to, respond very briefly?
Yes, I agree with you in part. But again, when we try to look deeper, right now we have Madam Uhuru, who is vying for the Kirinyaga governor.
Yes.
To be honest, what came out was a clear demonstration that there was some theft at the NYS. Some money was carried in Juala. But again, this is the person, the people of Kirinyaga are looking forward to elect as governor to manage billions. So, just to add on what my brothers just mentioned, the citizens who are at the voters really need to put a microscope on the leaders they elect. Because to be honest, if I were a voter in Kirinyaga, I would prefer Mother Karua because she has been a fighter, as opposed to Anne Waiguru, who is implicated to have swindled billions with the hairdresser.
All right. I want us to continue. Charles, we'll have to continue on the next conversation. And yes, we have a parallel vote tallying center, but not in Tanzania. This was NASA presidential candidate's response last night while appearing for the presidential debate. Raila Odinga said it should not worry anybody that NASA has a tallying center. Let's just listen to what he had to say.
A tallying center in Tanzania, is that true?
So why should somebody be worried about a tallying center, even if it is in Germany, even if it is in the United States, or if it is in the moon? Or why should that be an issue? Why should that be a security issue? Because we are just adding up results and storing it. We are storing it, unless somebody intends to rig. Why should that be a matter of national importance to the security intelligence of this country?
So do you or not have a tallying center in Tanzania?
We have a tallying center.
In Tanzania?
In Kenya, and in Kenya, and in the clouds. We have a tallying center.
In Tanzania?
In Kenya.
All right. So those were the sentiments of Raila Odinga yesterday. But meanwhile, the Tanzanian government has denied claims that the country is hosting a parallel tallying center for the National Super Alliance. Speaking during the press conference in Dar es Salaam's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Augustine Mahige, said Tanzania is impartial in the Kenyan political contest and will not meddle in the country's electoral process.
Ni siasa ya Tanzania kuwa na marafiki wote, sio tu marafiki wa kiserikali, lakini pia marafiki na kutambua vyama mbalimbali vya siasa. Na sisi Tanzania hatujawahi, hatuthubutu na hatutathubutu kuingilia siasa za nchi nyingine, na hasa nchi jirani na rafiki kama Kenya. Na kama kuna utundu huo unafanyika, labda na watu tu wenye kucheza na mitandao na nini na hivi, watu hao wakidhibitiwa na kukamatwa watachukuliwa hatua kali sana.
All right, let me just get the reactions from my panelists, and I'll start with you, Charles. Why is it a big deal if Raila Odinga has a tallying center? Back in 2013, there are reports that
almost everybody had one. That is why, Betty, one would be left wondering why would the government be concerned about NASA's tallying center? It started that the government would not allow the NASA to set up parallel tallying center. In 2013, Jubilee had their own parallel tallying center at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Nobody questions, and at that time, nobody said it is a national issue. Therefore, I think it is a joke for us even to really try to waste time to talk whether having a tallying center is an offense or not. The issue is here, Betty, is that there is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with the NASA or even Jubilee deciding to have their tallying center even in New Zealand. Nobody would be concerned about that. Because what we want to do, because we have a history. We have a history of rigged elections. Therefore, if one is having a parallel tallying center, it is merely just the way Right Honorable Raila Odinga said, we will just be adding up our votes and storing them so that we compare with the final tally that the IEBC, because IEBC is the one who is mandated to announce the final results of a presidential election.
All right.
Therefore, I would agree with Raila Odinga that it is not a national security issue unless the government and the security apparatus inform Kenyans in great detail that we have information that this parallel tallying center is going to be set up to achieve some other motives, not really the announcement or trying to correlate the relationship between the final result in the hands of IEBC and what they are tallying.
All right.
Therefore, I would agree with him.
Okay. Joseph?
Yes, actually, my perspective is based on the fact that the nation of Kenya has suffered massively about stolen elections. If we go back to 1992, 97, and then we skipped to 2007. And even, in the last elections, because we looked at the results of 2007 and we said, okay, let us move on. So, to be honest, I don't see the reason why the government should try to intrude to NASA if we are trying to come up with the creativity of safeguarding the vote. So long as it conforms with the law, I don't think whether there is any problem.
All right.
And that's the reason why I personally, and actually the NASA coalition, it does not agree with the CS Fred Matiang'i, who has come out strongly to talk against the Adopt a Polling Station initiative. If we have come up with our own creativity to safeguard the vote, so long as it is within the law, I don't see any problem.
All right.
Having a tallying center, Jubilee had it in 2013. So we are mandated to do everything in our power to safeguard our vote.
All right. Marcus, NASA is seemingly, on alert this time round, and that's why, they even have, new strategies to, like you mentioned, safeguard the vote. What do you think about these new strategies, seeing that also the Interior Cabinet Secretary is not very, happy about these strategies?
In this particular case, we must separate the clock from the dagger, because what we are doing is playing a game of shadows, and it's very dangerous. The fear in the public is not about where the tallying center is, but the possibility that if the tallying center is in Tanzania, then a winner can be declared in Tanzania and begin to have a Watara Bagbo situation where we've got two people claiming to be in power. That's really what the underlying conversation is. And the same thing goes into the tallying of votes. Now, the reality of the matter, there is no politician on the face of this earth, even if it's just your wife who's going to vote for you, who does not have agents, who does not have a way of safeguarding his votes. But when you politicize the issue, then it becomes confusing to the public, and this is what we need to demystify. Number one, when you talk about adopt a polling station, it can be misleading unless you understand it as political party agents, okay? Except in this particular time, I think what they're trying to do is have volunteers versus having paid political party agents. And that's
Isn't that dangerous then? Because, so many people can volunteer to come and...
Exactly, because you see, the thing is, you need to be very careful how you collect data. And I'm speaking as someone who's worked on various campaigns across the continent. The reality of the matter is you need as many stalwarts, as many people who are loyal to you, that are unbuyable to be your party agents. So that is critical. Now, again, if you go apply the cloak and dagger principle to Matiang'i's statement, it is, again, and there is need to have a separation. Number one, when the results at a polling station are announced, it is required by law that they are pasted outside the door of that particular polling station. Now, that is a public event. That means that you're allowed to go and see how it looks like. However, the law also says that you're not allowed to just hang around aimlessly. So what Matiang'i should have said, and I think this is what you were saying, is that there needs to be proper definition of who is a party agent, who is a member of the public, and how far can the party agent go, how far can a member of the public go.
Right.
And this is where the issue comes in, because you've got issues that are entrenched in law that are being politicized, and that is where the problem comes in, and that's why it's critical to clear up these matters.
Betty,
Yes,
very briefly, I would not agree with my brother here that Matiang'i should have told Kenyans who a party agent is, who an agent is, who is a member of the public is. These are things that we know. We know accredited party agents are people are allowed, and IEBC had already issued a circular with those whom will be allowed inside a polling station or a tallying center. That is a done deal. That is not something that Matiang'i is the one to explain to us. It is the role of the IEBC. Matiang'i was trying to qualify his statement by saying that it's the security apparatus that are going to ensure that we have peaceful election and all these processes are not interrupted. But who has the mandate to inform Kenyans that these are the arrangements that we've made to ensure that we are going to have a peaceful, transparent, credible and verifiable election? It is the mandate solely rests on the hands and the shoulders of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, not the Minister of the Interior and Security of Coordination of National Government.
Because we have Joseph here, he is the man who came up with this idea of the adopt a polling station. So maybe you can just explain to us how it works, because it seems like, you know, quite a number of people don't quite get it.
And I think I'm also going to use the same highlight to edify the Interior CS, Mr. Fred Matiang'i. Number one, the adopt a polling center concept is, it doesn't mean that our volunteers are going to carry guns and stones to the polling centers. We have certified agents who are actually going to be inside the polling centers.
Yes.
And within that particular area, we will have individuals who will do the idea of get out the vote concept. They will do transportation, they will bring food to the agents, they will bring water to the agents, they will actually transport sick voters to come and vote. Yes. So it is not going
once they do that, do they go away? Because IEBC came out and said they have a problem with too many people being in one polling station.
But let's say this is a school within 500 meters radius. Yeah. If I vote, and I truly believe in NASA, and I keep hanging around and I say, okay, this is the way the polling center is just, you go straight, turn to the left. Is that a mistake? Is that a security threat? I don't think so. So I feel the idea of the Interior CS is misplaced. We are focusing on safeguarding the vote. We have suffered in this country as a result of rigging, and what NASA is doing through the Adopt a Polling Center concept is actually trying to put a microscope on any rigging schemes from our opponents.
So if Jubilee came up with the same, concept, will it be agreeable to do that in their
That's their creativity, so long as it is within law. Right. So long as it's not, we are not violent. Okay. We respect the law. We are very peaceful people.
And that's the issue that I
very
have
briefly,
with the politicization of these particular issues. You see, and that's what I'm trying to demystify. What they're doing is not illegal. But if you politicize it, it goes into a realm where it becomes misleading. Now, the reality of the matter is this. All of these things are enshrined in law. What Kenyans need to do is obey the law, and everyone is fine. The objective of bringing out the vote, there is no political party in this world which does not have a policy or a pattern by which to bring people to come in to vote. You understand? So what we need to do, as is correctly put it, is define what is the role of a party agent, what is the role of a volunteer who's bringing in people to vote, and all of these things happen. We know, for example, if your grandmother is sick, you pick them up and you go. Right. You know that if your family needs to go vote, you get in one car and you go and vote. So all those things are within the law. We just need to remove the politics from it.
All right. We'll continue the conversation shortly, and we'll be getting to hear what Raila Odinga had to say in his closing statement. It's a statement really that has gotten quite a number of Kenyans talking. He got to bring in another dimension, talking about single mothers. We'll be talking about that shortly here on the show. We'll take a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.